Here we are live for this Build Your Own Recruitment Website webinar, and we're going to talk you through the steps this morning on how to build your very own recruitment agency website using WordPress, hopefully. I'm sure we'll be able to get you very close, if not a full site by the end of it. So my name's Mark, and with me is Keith.
Hello.
Hello. Obviously, we're not in the same location, but we're both with you today for this webinar. So what we're going to do is talk you through how to get started, the things that you need to build your website in WordPress. So let's just get straight onto it, unless you've got anything to add, Keith.
Should we just do a quick introduction of who we are?
Yeah, we can do.
Very brief.
I'll let you go first.
Okay. Well, we are High Rise Digital, and we build custom WordPress websites, and recently I've been doing a lot of work in the recruitment industry, hence the webinar today. Mark and I have both been building websites with WordPress for about 10 years, working together for about 4 as High Rise Digital. I'm primarily concerned with the kind of look of websites, how they kind of look and work on the front end, what a visitor sees, and Mark's expertise is more on the what we call the back end of a website, so functionality and things like that. So that's what we do. And yeah, anything else to add to that, Mark?
No, I think you summed that up really well. Right, so am I sharing my screen?
I will. Are you ready? Yep, I will flick over to your screen right now.
Good.
There we go.
Good to go. Okay. So this video kind of assumes that you've already got a domain name. Now, if you don't know what a domain name is, that is like the website address that you choose for your site. So like google.com, highrise.digital, they are the domain names for your site. And you may already have one. If you haven't, then you want to be able to get yourself one of those. Very cheap. Lots of providers out there that will provide them, literally hundreds and thousands of them. So go and find yourself a domain name. And I would recommend that you also need to choose a web host. Now that's the service that provides the computer, the server that hosts your website. So when I type your domain name in, it knows which computer to go and find the website on. And I'd recommend you buy the domain if you're starting out from the same place where you get your hosting from. And you'll probably be able to pick up something relatively cheap, something along the lines of 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, £10 a month to get yourself a domain name and hosting. And the benefit of buying those together means that your domain will already be set up with your host, so you won't need to do any changing of records to point one to the other and etc. It'll all be done for you. You'll just be able to get up and running. If you choose a decent host that is WordPress dedicated and really focuses on WordPress, they'll also set you up a WordPress site. So you'll have what I've got in front of me already set up for you. And the host will literally just say, here's your login and password for it. Off you go, and you'll be ready to get going. We'd probably recommend someone like siteground.com or .co.uk, depending on where you are. They are a really good WordPress dedicated host that will give you the basics that you need. So SiteGround is a good place to start. And we don't get anything from SiteGround for saying that. So we've used them. We're pretty happy with them for sites of this nature. So I would recommend that's a good starting point. But there are lots, and do have a look round. So let's get started then with actually getting your website installed and working. So as I said, I have WordPress installed, and your host will do that for you, and they'll give you the login details, and I'm logged in. So that's kind of the situation that we're in at the moment. Now, when WordPress is installed, WordPress is a content management system. It's the system that you can use to go and edit all your content and create your pages, create your posts, add your media, etc., etc. It comes with some default stuff that we kind of want to get rid of, to be honest, because it just gets in the way. So if we click on posts here, I've actually already done this, but I'm just going to show you the process. In posts here, you'll usually have a post called Hello World. It's kind of like the introduction post that WordPress installs. And you just want to chuck that in the bin, which I've already done. And similar, in pages, you'll probably have a sample page in here that you just want to chuck in the bin. It's dead easy. If you just hover over it, there's a delete button, and you just click delete. And that gets rid of all that sort of stuff to start off with. Then in the appearance section and themes are what control the visual aspects of your website. So it's how your site looks is the theme that you use. And we're going to use a theme today. We'll come on to that in a second. But in themes, when you install WordPress, you're probably going to get 3 or 4 of what's called the default themes. They're all date-based. So there's 2020, That's the latest one, 2019, 2018, 2017, etc. And we would recommend deleting them all except the very latest version. I'll talk about this one in a minute. To delete one, you just click on it and then you hit delete in the corner. The reason delete isn't here is because this is currently the active theme. So if I click on this one, for example, you get the delete button. So I would remove all the ones except the 2020 theme or the latest one if you're watching this in 2021 maybe. So that's something to do. And additionally, the same with plugins. If you click on plugins on the left, now plugins add additional functionality to your website. I've installed some plugins here, which I'm going to talk about in a minute, but WordPress ships with 2 default plugins that you probably want to remove. That's Akismet, which is to do with comment spam, which we're not going to use, and also one called Hello Dolly, which is, I can't even remember what it does, but it's a bit ridiculous. So you just need to delete those. And again, you can see there's a delete command. Just hit delete and it will say, are you sure? And then you can remove it. So that's kind of getting the sort of a housekeeping done and getting everything ready for you to then install the stuff that you need to make your recruitment website work really well. So the first part of this is we're going to install some plugins that we need to make a good recruitment agency website. So as you can see, I'm on the plugins menu and then I've got an add new over here, or I've got an add new at the top, and then I can click on that button to be able to add the plugins I want. Now I've already added them, as you can see in the list, but I'm going to just show you the process. So once you've got to this section, you're going to use the search in the top right hand side here to search for the plugins that you want. So one of the ones that we wanted to install was an SEO plugin, so we could type in the name of the plugin, which is WordPress SEO, and the page kind of refreshes with the results, and then you see this is the plugin in the top left and so on now. And then you just click install now, and then that will be on your website. It wouldn't be active, as in it wouldn't be running on your website, but it will be there ready to activate as and when you want to do that. So I'm just going to have a quick look at these installed plugins that I've installed, just to show you what they are and what they do and why we think they're probably useful for you. So WordPress has some functionality to have comments on posts so that users can comment and create a discussion. It's likely that you don't want that. So what I would recommend is activating the disable comments plugin, which kind of does exactly as it says on the tin. It just gets rid of comments. So I'm just going to click activate on that one. And then there is a setup here on the configuration page. I'll just open this in a new tab so we can keep this plugins page open. And literally, I'm just going to say disable comments everywhere. So we just don't want them at all. Just speeds up your site as well because it's not loading things that we don't need. Back to the plugins page. A couple of security things. So we've got a force strong passwords plugin. We've got, it does exactly what it says. It makes sure that users are using a nice, strong and long password, which is one of the biggest sort of security flaws that people have. I've got a limit login attempts plugin, which means that you can limit the number of times someone is allowed to put a failed login attempt on the login page. It defaults to 3, which is reasonable. So I'd always recommend acting something like that as well. And then the last security-based one is at the bottom here, called WPS hide login page. The reason why you might want that is because every WordPress website's login page is at the same place except the domain. So it's always at /wplogin.php. Obviously, the domain's different at the front. So if someone knows where your login page is, you might want to hide that. It's a bit like, hiding the key to the door so they don't know where to get into the building, basically. So it's worth doing. So because I've ticked all of those, I can activate them all at once just using this sort of bulk actions drop down, and I can click apply, and all those plugins will then get activated at once. Some of them then appear and show settings, like the disable comments. So the WPS hide login settings page allows you to set the login URL. So you can see that's at the bottom down here. So at the moment, it's going to use /login instead of the default wplogin.php, which kind of makes sense. So you can set whatever you want in there. It's up to you, but don't forget what it is, obviously, because oops, there it is. Don't know where that went. Back to plugins. Then a few other ones to talk about. I'll talk about these two in a second. Insert headers and footers is really good if you want to add sort of scripts to your site. Things like Google Analytics code it gives you a box simply to enter and paste it in the back end. So I would recommend activating and installing the insert header footers. Other things like if you have a chat bot on your site, they'll give you a little bit of script to put in somewhere. You can put it into this plugin as well. It just adds something on the settings menu here where you can just go and add those scripts. So it's nice and straightforward. And then because we're a recruitment site, we obviously want a job board. So we're going to add the WP Job Manager plugin, which is the best job board plugin in our opinion. It's written by the company that kind of spearheads WordPress. So it's really well written, it's really flexible, and it has lots of add-ons that you might want to take advantage of in the future should your site grow. So we're going to activate that one. Let's have a quick sip of coffee. I'm just going to delete some of these messages at the top here. So it's first of all, do I want to enable usage tracking? Basically, that's sending some data to their service to track what we're doing with the site. It is anonymized, but I'm going to disable that. And then I'm going to run the setup wizard for this plugin, which essentially sets things up for the job manager. So here we're just going to click Start Setup, and it's just going to create some pages for my job board. I'm happy with the default ones. This is for someone to post a job on the front end of the site. This one is for someone to view all the jobs that they've posted, and this one is just to list all the jobs on the site. So those are created. So we can see we've now got a job listing section here, and things are looking a bit different. Back to the plugins, last but not least, here we go to get things set up for the visuals of the site, how we want it to look, and give it a nice looking theme. So I'm going to activate the Ultimate Add-ons for Gutenberg. So what that is that WordPress has a new editor to allow you to add and remove and edit content, and it's called a block editor. And this particular plugin provides you with a few more advanced options for that, and we'll see those as we start editing the pages in a minute. But that is a nice plugin. Then two more things to do in terms of setup. We've got the theme we want to use. So we go back to the themes which we looked at before. We're going to use this theme called Astra, which is quite flexible. It gives us lots of options for changing colours and styles and things. So what I'm going to do is activate that theme, which like so.
Yeah, the thing we like about Astra as well, isn't it, Mark, is it gives you a really good head start in terms of like design and templates and things like that. So
yeah, absolutely.
Kind of looks really good out of the box, and then you can just replace the content that's there with your own without having to think too much about it.
So one thing that I'm going to show you how to do is to use a child theme. So I'm just going to go, Astra has a nice little generator for you, so it'll do all this work for you. Now, if you're not sure what a child theme is, a child theme inherits everything from its parent unless it's overridden in the child. Now, the reason why you'd want to use a child theme is because if you make changes to this theme, and I mean changes in code, so it might be that you're not going to do that. If this gets an update, so if the team that builds the Astra theme come in and decide to update something, it would override your changes. But by using a child theme, it wouldn't overwrite your changes. So I'd highly recommend, even if you don't think you need one, that you use one from the very start. So I'm going to use the Astra's child theme generator here. I'm just going to click the advanced options. So I'm going to give this a name. So I'm just going to call it my recruitment theme. And then the folder name. So this is the name of the folder on the server. Just call it that. And then I'm just going to click generate. And what it'll do is it'll download a little zip file of my child theme. So you can see that's downloaded here. So what I'm going to do is add that child theme, add new to WordPress. And we're not actually going to find it on here because it's one we've downloaded. So we're actually going to want to upload it. So we're going to click the upload button. And then we're going to choose the zip file that I've just downloaded, which should be in downloads, I think. There we go. And then install that. And WordPress will upload the zip file, it'll unpack it properly, put it in the right place, etc. And then we're going to activate our child theme. And there we go. So we're now on my recruitment theme and not the Astra theme. So we're going to get all the benefits of the Astra theme, but we're going to be able to make changes in the future should we want to without losing those every time it gets updated. So certainly worth doing, in my opinion. So that's activated and sorted. I'll just flip back to the plugins menu because we've one more thing to do, and we're going to use this feature of Astra called Starter Templates. And as Keith said, this gives you a nice head start into giving you a nice looking website that we can then make some changes to, rather than having to start from complete scratch. So I'm going to activate the Starter Templates plugin. There we go. And then on, I think it's under Appearance, there's the Starter Templates option now, where I can choose which starter template I want to use. So I'm going to click on that, and it's going to give me a selection. So these are different page builders that can create different layouts in WordPress. The one we're going to stick to today is called Gutenberg, which is the native page builder in WordPress. It's the one that comes with WordPress. You don't need to add anything else to it. So we're going to stick to that and use that one. You could experiment with these if you wanted. So I'm going to choose the Gutenberg page builder, and what this is going to then do, it's going to show me all of the starter templates where they are built for the Gutenberg page builder. So as you can see, there's lots of nice looking templates that you can use to start with. Now the one I'm going to use today, which is perhaps most relevant to this, is this entrepreneur theme or starter template at the bottom here. You can see it bottom right. So I'm going to click on that, and it gives me a little preview of what the different pages are going to look like this. You can see those on the left. Now I want to use the entire thing, so you could just import one of these into your site, but I want the whole lot, so I'm just going to use the Import Complete Site button here. Now what this will do is it'll install these templates, but it's also going to install a lot of content for me. It's going to add some text, it's going to add some media images that I can then go in and edit, rather than having to start from scratch on every page. So I'm going to click Import Complete Site, and it's going to ask me a few questions here. I don't have a previous site, so I don't need to delete it. And then I'm going to make sure the rest of them are ticked so that everything gets imported, and then I'm going to click Import. Now, this might take a few minutes to do, but I wanted to show you the process, if you like. If you are watching this and thinking it's a little slow in terms of the screens, it's probably because of the live video sharing. It's much quicker when you're not doing the video. So you see it's importing everything now. It's importing some plugins and settings. It'll also import some media, which are the images that you see in the theme, and the content, which is the text. And then it's going to tell us, hopefully, that that was successful. And we're going to be able to view our beautiful new entrepreneur website that we're going to turn into a recruitment site.
A lot of the themes that, or the, what do you call them, are templates within Astra.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good looking ones, actually. We've experimented with a few of them, and they do look great out of the box. Well designed.
Yeah. So you can see it's running through, importing everything for you.
And the idea here, obviously, with a DIY site, is that you don't want to have to worry about the design. You want that to be kind of taken care of for you. If you want something, up and running cheaply and quickly, which if you're doing it yourself, that's obviously the main goal. Then if you can take away as many of those aspects as possible, it's a real benefit. So these templates, they're all really, really well designed, so you just don't need to worry about that. All you need to worry about is talking about your business and what you do, and adding some images. So it gives you a massive head start.
Yep. Okay, so it's finished the import. So we're going to click View Site, and it should then display us an exact sort of copy of the little preview you found. So that's now like a working website. That's all of these things are created for us. And what we're going to show you now is how you can go in and edit the bits that obviously are appropriate to you to make them suitable for your recruitment agency. So if we go, I'm going to leave the home page open in a new tab. Let's just close this generator down. And then I'm going to close that, and we're going to go into the Pages section. And you'll see that the import has added a number of pages based on the templates that it told us about. So we're going to start with the home page, and we're going to click on Edit. and you'll see here is how all that content that you've just seen on the front end of the site, which is here, here's how we edit all of that particular content to make it unique to us. So you can see here's the first section with the background image, etc. We've got the couple of call to action buttons with some text. This looks like it's like a quote type text, but you could use it for something different if you wanted to. And scrolling down here, the three call to action boxes. Then the sort of logos with brands doesn't quite work in the editor that very well with the pictures, but it's there. And then we've got a contact us section. And then we've got something from the blog in the bottom. So if you wanted to have a blog side of things or a news section, you could use that as well. So editing these stuff, this is the WordPress block editor, the called Gutenberg, and it's got lots of different options for you to edit content. So this particular first part of the page is made up of a section block, and this is one of the special blocks that was added when we added the plugin called the Ultimate Gutenberg Blocks plugin that we added before. So here you can see on the right-hand side, as I've clicked on this, on the right-hand side, you get a list of options for this block. You can tell it's a section block because it's called section here. It gives you a little description of what the section block does. And then we get some options for layout and stuff. Now, as Keith mentioned, the design here is done for you. So it's probably not a great idea to start tweaking with the design because someone's designed this theme really nicely. And we want to probably stick to that design, just making some small changes where we think appropriate. For example, this image might not be appropriate for your recruitment agency, so we might want to change it. And on the right-hand side, you can see all this sort of stuff. So we've got spacing settings. Again, I wouldn't be tweaking with those unless you've got an absolute burning need to do so. But the background is where we might want to change the image. So I could replace the image here, and then I could select a file from my computer. I wonder if I've got one, actually. What have I got in here? Images. Gallery. What's in here? There we go. My computer. We'll use that one. So I can open that and it'll upload that to the site. And then I can say select. There we go. And it'll replace the image with that one. Okay? So that's how you'd replace the image. So if you've got a specific image that you want to use in that sort of first section on the page, you can do that. You've also got options for positioning that image as well. If you wanted to change those and have a fiddle around with those. But they look great to me. I'm not going to mess around with them at all. So that's that section. Again, changing the text here is as simple as selecting it and typing it again. So finding candidates quickly. Whatever your tagline is, it's bound to be better than that. But there you go. We're not going to use this as a testimonial quote. You could if you wanted to, so I'm just going to remove that bit. We don't need it, and I'm going to take away this image as well at the top here. Again, I'm just hitting backspace on the keyboard to remove it. That's all I'm doing, or delete if you've got the delete key. Then we can link these buttons up. So these buttons, you can see I can just select the text and then hit the link button here. And that is a link, so I can edit that, and I could then just type in wherever I want to go. If that's to another website, to another page on this website, I can just type the page's name. So I know I've got an about page. Oops.
Can you scroll? Yeah, this is getting blocked by our thumbnails, Mark, at the moment.
Is it?
Yeah, that's good.
Is that better? There we go.
Yep.
So searching for about then shows me the about page, and then I can just click on that, and it confirms that's now the link. So that's something to do on that one. And if I didn't want a particular button, I could just click on it, use the more options, and just remove it, and it'll just leave me with one button. So that's quite nice as well. So those are the changes you can do on that one. If you wanted to add some other content in here, you could then click on the plus button to add different blocks, and you can see these are all of the block options you've got. These are the ones, ultimate add-on blocks. When we installed that plugin, there's some nice ones in there you can play with. But again, like Keith said, the design's kind of done for you, so you really probably want to be sticking to what it's giving you. Moving down, again, we can change these titles just by changing the text. And as I said, you've got color options on the right-hand side, but again, I wouldn't be messing around with those unless you want to change it to your default colors. If you've got a brand color that you want to stick to, you can obviously go in and change that. And most things have an option to change the color, so you'd be able to do that for your colors. These are all fairly self-explanatory. Again, selecting them gives you the options on the right-hand side. so that you can change those settings. Anything else I've missed off that, Keith?
Not in this section, I don't think. I think that's a good overview of how the editor works.
And then, yeah, once you're happy, you've made the changes, you can just click update in the top right. That's the big blue button. And then, weirdly, bottom left, it's probably under our thumbnails, a little pop-up appears, and then you can just click the view page button, and it'll take you to the front end of the site just to check that works well on the front end. So that's kind of changed that section nice and quickly.
Oh, that's good.
Not a bad picture. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the customize section. Just let me scroll down on my notes here. There we go. So I'm going to click customize, and this is where you can change some of the more global settings for your site and other things, which I'll show you now once that loads up. So again, I wouldn't be messing with the design aspects, but maybe the colours you want to change, maybe the font you want to bring if you've got a brand font as well. But it does depend on what that font is, of course. So in the global section, there's things like typography. So we can choose the base typography. I'm not sure where all these fonts are coming from. I suspect there's something like Google Fonts.
Probably.
So you could select your brand font family in here if it's there, obviously, in that one. And again, I wouldn't be messing with the size and things unless there's a specific need for your brand for the base body size is different. But that's something you might want to look at. Then there's the same option for headings 1 to 6. This is just set to inherit, which means that it'll inherit the font you selected for the body. If you have a specific heading font, you could select it here. And even if you have a specific heading 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 font, you could do that specifically. I'm not really sure why you'd do that, though, to be honest. It might be a little strange having different fonts for each heading size. So that's the typography. You can then set some base colours. So as you can see, the base colours for this theme have got this sort of, I don't know, what colour would you call that? Turquoise? Teal?
Almost tealy, yeah.
Yeah. That's this button colour you can see here. And to do that, you just click on this and you can spin around with your mouse on here, or you can type in the colour code if you know it on this box here. And there's a link hover colour, so when you hover over a link, and a link colour itself, so that if you when a link is on the page, it's going to be that colour. These can also be overridden in each block. So if you are editing a block and you're not seeing that, it's because the colours have been set specifically on that block. So that's something just worth thinking about. But these are like colours unless you've changed them elsewhere. That makes sense. That's the base colours. Container is, you can change the width of the site. Again, I won't be messing with that because it's been nicely designed. So I'll probably be leaving that it is. And the buttons are the buttons colour and stuff like that. So if I click edit on this, you can change those button colours. Again, no need to change that for me unless you've got a burning desire to start messing with it, but I wouldn't be recommending that. Next thing is the header. So site identity, you can see here's where you can set up the logo. So this is the Edward Spectre here, so you could add your own logo in here. You could remove this one and click change, and it'll give you the pop-up box to upload a new one, and you can upload one. This particular theme has this option of a transparent header. You can see that the image from the top sort of sits underneath the header, and the header's transparent. So what you would also need to do is make sure that you upload a transparent header logo as well, because otherwise it's going to have like a white background on it. So you can do that in this section somewhere.
It's up at the top.
Up at the top.
There's
there,
a little blue link there. Yeah.
Yeah, so you can do that there. It might be on a different menu actually, but it's just referencing it from here. So you can do that on that bit. You can set the layout of the primary header. Again, I think there's nothing wrong with the original one with logo on the left. It's a good pattern used all over the web. People are used to it. And then you can set the mobile header. So this point, the mobile version is going to have the logo on the left and then like a hamburger menu on the right. There's an option to have them on top of each other. And then the primary menu, so we'll talk about the menus in a second, but this particular theme has an option for adding this sort of call to action style button at the end of the menu, which is quite nice actually for like an inquiry or contact or just making something stand out that you want to do so. So they're saying the last item in the menu. So you'd have this team menu, and then we're going to make it into sort of a button, and then they're giving it some text and a link. So wherever you want that to go to, and you can even choose the style as well. So that's quite a nice little feature. And here's the transparent header. So you could just disable this completely if you wanted to, or you could just make it only work on desktop or mobile or both, and it's set to both at this point in time. And this header is also selectable on each page as well. So if we edit a page, you can say use transparent header or not on a page by page basis, as well as globally like this. I'm not going to breadcrumb too much. Blog's fairly self-explanatory. It's how you want the blog to display. You can drag and drop these things up and down as to what you want to show on the blog. Same on a single post. So the blog page is like a listing of all the posts, and the single post is just showing one post. So let's talk about menus. So this is where we can create the different menus for the site. So this at the top would be like the primary navigation. I think the footer has a menu in it, although it might be wrong. We'll see. Introduction. Oh, it seems to have a menu, but it's not showing. Don't know what that is. Comes out in a sec. So the main menu has just got the home link in it at the moment. So there's the home link. Remember, this one was added using the feature we saw a second ago. If you want to add items to the menu, you just click the add button. Let's add a jobs link. Let's add a link to the blog, a link to contact, and we'll have the about. And then we'll just reorder those. So we'll put the blog after that one and about me in the middle, like that. And then we publish. You can see it pops up at the top now. So it's nicely done. And then why isn't that footer menu displaying? That's because it's not selected.
Locations.
Yeah. So here we've created a menu, but we haven't said where that's going to show on the site. So if I click footer menu here, the location, and then scroll to the bottom, once it's decided to save it, it still's not there. Interesting. Don't know why that is. Don't know. Need some investigation. Unless I'm not seeing it on the show. Anyway, that's that bit. And each of these sections is editable as well. You can click the edit button here. It'll edit these for you, which is fairly self-explanatory. And that's kind of it in terms of the editing. I'll just publish that and save that, and then we can X that away to come back. I'm just going to show you the jobs side of things as well. So I'm going to click on the jobs link. So remember, when we installed the Job Manager plugin, it created some default pages for us. So it created a jobs page, and that is the jobs page. So as you start adding jobs, their listings will appear down here at the bottom, and you also get this nice little search form appearing, which is nice, so that your candidates can search for jobs. If we go back into the dashboard, you can see the job listings are here. So if I go to add new, this is really self-explanatory, to be honest. It's loading up. So you can click the job title in here. You can put a job description in this box here. You can then select from the right-hand side the job types, whether it's freelance, full-time, etc. Here's the settings I mentioned about disabling the sort of transparent header and things like that. And then at the bottom of the page, we've got the job data. So here we can set all the data about this job. So it's location, the name of the company that's offering it. You might want to put your own like agency company in there. If you leave these blank, by the way, they just don't show on the front end. So if you don't want to use them, that's fine. And then the expiry date as well. And that's that. So if we go to back, whoops, and that'll give you a nice job board on the front end of your website. And that's kind of all, really. I mean, a lot of it is to go and edit the content. Anything to add, Keith, on stuff I might have missed?
Nothing that I can think of off the top. I mean, obviously, there's Mark just kind of skimmed over the basics there. Like as you'll have seen as Mark went through it, there's an awful lot of detail. There's lots and lots and lots of different things you can change and edit. Pretty much everything. To your heart's content. So we can't go into absolutely everything at this point. I just wonder if I don't really know. Had a look at pages. Have we had a look at blog posts in particular? I mean, I know it's not too different, really, is it? But like where to add and edit a post.
Yeah. So posts, your blog posts are up in the posts section here. These are the ones that were imported when we did the dummy import of the content and stuff. So clicking on the title in the back end will allow you to edit this particular post, and you get a similar looking thing. So you get the blocks here. So this is like a paragraph block. Don't know why that image is not added properly. We could replace that maybe with something else. What if we go in here, we could add that with, let's go with that image. There you go, so that's in there.
Cool.
Then we've got the different blocks here, and then on the document side of things, on the right hand side is where we can assign categories for posts. We don't have any at the moment, but we could assign them.
Yeah.
Oh, we do. It was just loading. Sorry. We can add tags so that users can find posts and view posts with the same tag, and we can add a featured image, which looks like it might have been added. There you go. Which is the one that shows when on the listings page for blogs. Makes it look a bit nicer. So that's how to edit your posts. Again, very similar to pages, really.
Yeah.
Just do that.
Very cool.
And if you're wondering on this page, like where is the back end of WordPress gone, it's all hidden behind this sort of W menu here. So you can click that and it'll give you the full sort of menu on the back end. It might also be worth mentioning a couple of the features in here that are helpful. So, well, in fact, it's going to be better to show you that in the original page that I edited. So let me just go back to there and show you that. Go to Pages and go to the Home page. So, you've probably understood that we can have the concept of nested blocks, so blocks within a block. So, in this section here, we've got a section block for the whole thing, which is giving us the little sort of spacing around the outside. And then in here, we've got a column block. So if I click on one of these, I'm not sure if you can see because of the thumbnail, if Keith could perhaps just move that up a little bit.
I can, if you just give me a second.
Right at the very bottom of the screen, which is like the status bar in your browser, you can see I've got this sort of breadcrumb of where I am. So currently I am on a section inside a column, inside a columns block, which is inside a section. So this section is the first one. The columns contains all of these three things here. The section, column, and then I'm in a section. So sometimes it's hard to select the correct block here with your mouse because I can't get the mouse to select the right one. So what you can do is use this to select them instead. So for example, if I click on columns, I then get on the right hand side the options for the columns block. So it's a really good way of navigating around nested blocks that get a bit embedded within each other, and it's hard to find things. The other option you could use here is the info little icon. You can click that and it's going to show me the content structure. Sorry, not that one. This one, the block navigation. So here we get where I am again in the levels of things. So the columns block is what's selected because it's got the grey background. If I click on this, it'll select the first option, as you can see there, and then it kind of works that way. So you can kind of see where you are inside the top level block that you're in, which is quite handy. Very useful, those two little navigation tips if you've ever done any work in the new editor, that's for sure. Definitely. So yeah, that's kind of how to get yourself started with getting yourself your own site up. Hopefully that's really helpful for you and you'll be able to give it a go at least. Yeah. Hopefully you'll see how quick that is as well. I mean, there's a bit of stuff to get set up with hosting and domain names and things like that beforehand, but we might be able to help you with that, as we'll get to in a minute. What else do we need to think about when you're running a website, Mark? What are the important other important aspects to consider? You need to go. Sorry, I was just going to say, I think with WordPress especially, like updates. Yeah. So if you're not familiar with the way WordPress works, it's open source software, and there's a team of
essentially volunteers, but some kind of employed professional people too, constantly working on the software to keep it up to date, to keep it secure, to improve performance, to add new features. And as Mark showed you, there's also all of those plugins that we've added to add new functionality, and then there's the theme as well. So all of these separate bits of software are constantly being updated. So you'll see Mark is on the WordPress updates screen on the dashboard at the moment, and everything's up to date because we've just installed all the latest stuff. But you'd probably every few days you'll probably see something pop up here saying there's an update for a plugin or a theme, or WordPress itself has been updated. And it is really important to keep a website up to date for various reasons. I guess the primary one is security. Things are constantly being patched. Security little holes are being found and they're being fixed all the time. So it's really, really important for that reason to keep it up to date. Also for compatibility reasons. So if you're trying to keep up to date with the latest version of a particular plugin, but your version of WordPress isn't up to date, then there could be issues with that, vice versa. So if you're running all the latest versions of things, it's much more likely that they'll all work nicely together. And performance, constant performance improvements. So your site will just, be a little bit faster if you're running all the latest versions of all the software.
Yeah, definitely.
Anything else and why it's important to keep things up to date? I think that's the three main things, really.
Absolutely, yeah. I think that the security aspect of it is the main one, really, isn't it? If things are found to be problematic, they'll be patched, and then you'll have updates to run to make sure that you get advantage of those things and not leaving you vulnerable. So
exactly, you've probably heard of some scare stories around WordPress about security concerns. It's our opinion that WordPress is by far and away the biggest, like the market leader in content management platforms. So you're going to hear more horror stories about WordPress than anything else, just because it's more popular than anything else. But also on top of that, most of those horror stories, not all of them, but most of them, have come from lapses in just security best practices, and that includes things like strong passwords is absolutely critical. That's why Mark showed you the four strong passwords plugin at the start, and then the updates. And you'll find that I don't have numbers, but my guess is going to be that 90% of kind of hacks and security breaches are caused by either running out of date software or bad passwords. So if you can keep on top of those two things, you're way ahead of the game from a security point of view.
Yeah, definitely.
Cool. All right, should we wrap it up? I've got.
Yeah, I'll stop my screen.
If you stop your screen and I switch over to both of us just for a second. So thanks for watching up to this point already. Hopefully you found that really useful and it's kind of empowered you to build a recruitment website for yourself. If you don't want to go through that process, so if you've watched us today and thought, that all looks great, I'd love a website like that, but I was a bit confused, or it just takes too long, I just want someone else to do it, then we are here to help. So we're really happy to show you how to do it yourself, but if you want us to help you, we have a service for that. So I'm just going to show you, I'm going to flip over to my screen now. This is our website. What's that? recruitment.highrise.digital. And then if you go to /recruitment-websites. And this is the service that we offer. So it's essentially what you saw today. So you get the website. I've even got that particular website as one of the demos on the landing page here. You get the website that you saw today. You get all the software, all the plugins that we showed you, the theme that we showed you, all that content flexibility, but it takes away hopefully all of the pain points. So the hosting is sorted for you, the updates are sorted for you, backups are taken care of. So if we just scroll down the page, this particular landing page just shows you gives you a bunch of information. We've got a few different plans to choose from. We break down the features of all those plans further down. We've got a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you paid for your first month and you're not happy, we will give you that money back, absolutely no questions asked. Here we've got some of the features. So we've talked today about WordPress content management system. That's what this platform is based on. You've seen the templates that Mark showed you that we can choose from. You've seen the job board and the functionality there. We're going to be hosting the website on a super fast server for you. We'll take care of all the maintenance, and we'll give you support when you need it. So that's obviously something else you don't get if you're a DIY, is that if you're banging your head against a wall thinking, how on earth do I do this very simple little thing? It's taken me hours. You could just hop on an email to us and we would sort it out for you. There's also some extra features on some of like the slightly higher plans, for example, the advanced job search. We answer a few questions that you might have at the bottom of that page. So that is recruitment.highrise.digital/recruitment-websites. And the big call to action on this page is just to book a call with us. So this will take you through to a calendar page. You can choose a time that suits you, and we would be very, very keen to chat to you about your needs. Now, because you've stuck with us so far today, I want to kind of make that offer a little bit better for you, a little bit more attractive. So there's another URL here. I'm just going to see if I can flip this up onto the screen. Let me just do this. So if you go to this URL, so it's recruitment.highrise.digital/webinar-offer. And here you'll come to this page. It just says, thanks for joining us today. And the offer that we'd like to give to you for watching the webinar today is to give you 50% off for the first 3 months. So our lowest plan, you can see over here, let's just jump to plans and pricing, is £49 per month. And we are going to offer that to you for £24.50 per month for the first 3 months, just so you can try it out, see if you like it. And it's just a way to say thank you for joining us today. So if you go to this page, fill in your details. We just need your name and your email address and an offer code. So I'm just going to flash that up on the screen now. The offer code is HDW6. That is the offer code for this particular webinar. And that will get you your 50% off for the first 3 months. If you just have any questions about that, you don't actually want to kind of go through and fill this out, just please do get in touch with us. Use that book a call link on the screen on this page. There's all over this page, there's little book a call buttons, and that will take you through to our calendar booking page, which you will see shortly. It's very slow because of the streaming. Let me just get rid of that. So this will just ask you to choose a time from our calendar. Once it finally loads, you can just choose a slot that works for you, and Mark and I'll jump on a call with you and discuss anything that you want to talk about. So this is what that looks like. So you can just go through that, and we'd be very happy just to discuss the plans, the features, the pricing, anything that you want to talk about with regards to recruitment websites and getting you online. So I think that's it. Thanks again for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you.
Anything else to finish up with, Mark? Or happy that
no,
covered everything today?
Yeah, all good. Thanks for joining us.
Good.
And maybe catch you on the next one.
Yeah, thanks a lot. See you soon.
Bye-bye.